Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Charakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, GMS, and Ruel. And peace and salutations to the hopeful elect, Akim, pushing this truth to the four corners of the earth. All right, waking up the rest of the elect so Yahweh Shai could redeem us up on out of this wicked world. All right. Slakia. I'm going to show you a few TikToks, man, on, the topic of this lesson is going to be about, famine, okay? It's coming, soon, okay? It's only going to get worse here in America, all right? Food is going to be more and more scarce and more expensive, okay? All right, and the stage is being set, okay? All right, you having the convenience of buying whatever the hell you want at the grocery store or on DoorDash or on Amazon, that's eventually going to stop here soon. That's not going to be much longer, okay? All right, like the scriptures say, victuals shall be so good cheap upon earth that people shall think themselves to be in good case. And we're in that time. People think that they're in good case right now because they can buy whatever the hell they want, online or at the store, So people are ignorant or not even focusing on, the ramifications, all right, of the things that are happening, right before them, all right. The farmers, or the market of the farmers, is being hit really hard. All right, these billion trillionaires are buying up, farmers, farmland, and companies and whatnot, local farms. All right, all these brands, and the oil industry is getting hit, bent over, and that affects the farm industry. All right, the agriculture, which puts food on your plate and in your grocery stores. Okay. All right, these tariffs being put upon these countries like China, all right, and these other countries. Okay. China just said that, hey, they could literally, if they wanted to, they could literally stop exporting whatever they want to America. Whatever America wants from China, could literally just stop exporting, stop giving it to America, basically, for lack of better words, Okay, the stage is being set, man. Okay, so I'm going to show you this TikTok and then another one. All right, I'm going to end it off. I'm going to bring out some precepts, okay?
The war in Iran is costing the U.S. almost $1 billion a day, not to mention the environmental toll and the human toll. Meanwhile, back at home, U.S. farmers are struggling more than ever. Last year, in 2025, most crop farmers actually lost money growing commodity crops like corn and soy because of the cost of diesel, because of the cost of fertilizer and all the other inputs, and the really low prices that they're getting for their products. This year, I expect we're going to see a drastic increase in that trend. So what we're talking about is the continuation and more rapid continuation of the trends of farmers quitting, going bankrupt, the average age of the American farmer going up and up and up because the younger generation has already dipped out and gone to the city. We're going to see a continuation of billionaires and multinational corporations buying up all of this farmland that becomes available, putting their AI data centers, their bioengineered food factories, their huge animal factory farms. This is the trend that's happening. This is what's happening in our country right at this very moment. And things like this war that is costing so much money and nobody even knows why it's going on is exasperating the problem by multiple times. So this is a scary year for farmers in the U.S. And honestly, I don't know what's going to happen, and I think a lot of farmers are pretty concerned about it. So all the more reason to stick together and build community and build a agricultural system that doesn't rely on petrochemicals and fertilizers and multinational trade.
And that means, hey, that's not going to, those products aren't going to enter into, your grocery stores. Okay, it's going to stay with these farmers if that happens. you know okay, if these farmers start sticking together and not selling to these mass corporations, that means you city people aren't going to be getting what you want, when it comes to food, you know all right, and when you want, because gas, the oil's being hit, you know becoming more expensive. All right, and hey, these some of these gas stations are mixing their gas with E15, you know which is a mixture of gas and water, which messes up your engines. All right, hey man, America, the vintage is failing. Okay, America is on its way out. All right, so I'm gonna show you another TikTok, man.
And agriculture is having an administration that doesn't understand agriculture is a danger to all Americans in relation to the food supply. Hey, farm hands, it's Will coming to you from the back 40, and I want to talk to you about something that's happening with food prices right now, and it's not just inflation, it's a warning sign. There's a new report out from the University of Illinois Farm Policy News, and here's what it says in plain English. Crop prices just hit their highest level since November of 2023. That's not a small bump, that's a 2-year high, and it didn't happen by accident. See, there's something called the Bloomberg Agriculture Spot Index. It tracks 10 of the most important crops on earth, the stuff that turns into your bread, your pasta, your cooking oil, and that index has been climbing for 3 straight months now. Now, let me tell you why that matters to folks sitting in rural America. Because when that index goes up, food prices follow right behind it. And here's what's driving it. First of all, the war. The closure of the Strait of Hormuz and the conflict with Iran has disrupted global supply chains. That's where a huge chunk of the world's energy moves through. So when that shuts down, fuel costs go up, as we've all seen at the pump. Fertilizer costs go up, and farmers get squeezed. Second, we've got weather issues. We're talking about drought conditions this winter, and new drought conditions hitting growing regions, including right here in the United States. And when yields drop, prices rise. Now, here's where it gets real. Wheat prices are up 11% since late February. Corn is up 6%. Soybean oil is up nearly 50% this year. 50%. That's not a fluctuation, that's a surge. And it's not just here, this is global. Farmers from Asia to Australia to right here in the United States are dealing with the same thing. Higher costs, tighter margins, and smaller harvests. Now, here's the part that nobody in Washington wants to say out loud. Some farmers this planting season are actually planting less. Why? Because fertilizer costs are so high. It's too risky to plant certain crops. Think about that. In a moment when food prices are rising, we could be growing less food. And right there is how you get long-term inflation. Now let's connect the dots. When energy prices spike, when fertilizer prices spike, when drought hits, and when farmers cut back production, you don't just get higher prices, you get instability in the food system. That's bread. That's even meat because of the cost of animal feed. It's cooking oil. It's every grocery bill in America. And here's the kicker. Just a year ago, we had the opposite problem, too much supply. Prices were down and farmers were struggling to make a profit. Now we've swung the other direction, and that's not healthy. It's not a healthy system because there's still no profitability into it due to the fact that inputs are so high. So the next time somebody tells you prices are just normal inflation, you tell them this. We've got a global supply shock, a war affecting inputs, extreme weather cutting yields, and farmers being forced to plant less. That dog just won't hunt. And it especially doesn't hunt when you have an administration that doesn't understand agriculture. And if we don't fix the fundamentals, energy inputs, rural economics, this isn't the peak, it's just the beginning. And the long-term prognosis for agriculture, my friends, it's one thing just to hear on television and read in a newspaper or online article that farming is struggling right now, but we're reaching a tipping point. We're reaching a point where the real world impacts of increased food prices and possible shortages are going to impact everybody in the world, including the citizens of the United States of America. We've got to elect politicians that are going to change these policies in rural America, not only in healthcare and in education, but in economic policy, including agricultural policy. I want you to subscribe to the Back Forty.
All right, America's not going to be healed. All right, like the scriptures say, Babylon is not healed. Take balm for her pain. Hey, America's not going to go back to normal. Okay, this is it. And Donald Trump is going to be the last president, if you want to believe it or not. Okay, this is it for America. All right, big, great famine is coming that the world has never seen before. All right, be ready. Okay, we're seeing beginning, the stages being set. We're seeing, beginning stages of the greatest famine that will ever happen on Earth. And it's going to be in the middle of America, okay? All right? So be ready. Donald Trump, he doesn't know what the hell he's doing. All right, he's affecting his own people. All right? He knows what he's doing. All right, he's destroying America. He's doing what the elites are telling him to do. All right. The Lord is making Donald Trump do these dumb decisions affecting you United States citizens. Okay. And it's going to affect United States citizens so bad where it's going to be to your detriment. A great famine is coming to America. All right. That the world has never seen before. And I keep repeating myself, but hey, that's what's coming. Okay. I want to show you one more quick one. Is this it?
Breaking news just a few minutes ago out of Washington that the Federal Reserve has come out and said that gasoline prices will average at least $5 per gallon by June, and they said there's no way to stop this with what's happening in the economy. Buckle up, it's going to get worse.
We've been saying this, man. It's only going to get worse. All right, us men of Yahweh, Shem Yahushua, even me personally, when I go out there and prophesy, it's only going to get worse. All right? Not just from our mouths, but the mouths of other people, all right, here in America, who study the economy and the gas industry and the oil industry and whatnot. They're saying, hey, it's only going to get worse. Who are watching, having an eye out on the war, It's only going to get worse. All right, and we've been saying that. And that's going to affect not just the gas prices, but gas prices affect the grocery store, the food on your plate, what's available in the grocery store, Because, hey, transport and delivery is the backbone of America, all right? And these semi-trucks use petrol, oil, and gas to deliver your food and water and your supplies throughout America, okay? And then when that's affected, food gets more expensive, and hey, farmers are gonna stop farming, because it's not making them any money. They're losing money, which that's gonna bring more famine, and these other countries are gonna stop dealing with America and giving them supplies and food and whatnot. And there's going to be a lack of food and bread in America. And it's going to get really worse. Worse and worse. So, I have a lot of precepts, but I don't know if I'm going to get to all of them. 2nd Ezra 16 and 19. It says, behold, famine and plague. All right, famine and plague and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment. All right. Okay, so hey, the Lord is gonna send famine upon America. All right. For you people's wickedness. Verse 20, it says, but for all these things, they shall not turn away from the wickedness, nor always be mindful of the scourges. Okay. Behold, victuals shall be so good cheap upon earth that they shall think themselves to be in good case. And even then shall evils grow upon the earth, sword, famine, and great confusion. For many of them that dwell upon earth shall perish of famine. Okay, it says many of them that dwell upon earth shall perish of famine. And the other that escape the hunger shall the sword destroy. Okay. All right. Amen. A great unaliving is coming to America. Okay. Be ready. Get right with the Lord, because you getting right with the Lord is the only ways, that you're going to escape famine. Okay. Revelation 6:6 in the New Living Translation. Let's get the KJV first. It says, and I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts say, a measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny. And see thou hurt not the oil and the wine. So amen. You buying a day. He said buying. He said you getting a meal. All right, a pound. Whatever you need at the grocery store. For a meal that day, that's gonna cost a day's wage. All right, here soon. In hyperinflation. All right. It says, and see thou hurt not the oil and the wine. Okay. And oil prices, oil's being affected, even the olive oil, it just all types of goods, prices of everything's going up, because oil runs everything here in America, okay, in the world, in this scripture it's talking about, like the olive oil and the ointments and whatnot. But is not petrol oil, is that not oil too? And is that not a very high commodity, in America? Does that not lubricate your cars? Does it not make your cars and these trucks go to A to B and deliver food, to you? All right, it does, so it says hurt not the oil and the wine, and that's what's going to be hurt, that's what's hurting right now, because it takes oil to deliver the wine, to deliver the food, to deliver the drink, to deliver your Amazon packages, so let's get the NLT version. It says, I heard a great voice from among the 4 living beasts say, a loaf of wheat bread or 3 loaves of barley will cost a day's pay. And don't waste the olive oil and the wine, okay? All right, amen. We're not in those times because, not yet, but we're entering into those times, man. Because people could still go to the grocery store and, buy what they want and still have money in their account. All right, but not everybody. Hey, there's people who spent their last paycheck, spent the last money in their paycheck, and they just got paid yesterday, type stuff. Or they spend their whole paycheck, on bills and everything, and on groceries. All right, in one day, and then they're broke for the next 2 weeks until they get paid again, man. All right, so we're in those times. All right, people ain't getting paid enough. All right, inflation's up, the cost of living is high. All right, wages are down, are stagnant. You know, so we're in those times, but it hasn't affected every single person yet. You know, some people get paid enough where they still got money in the bank. You know, some people got savings. Some people have a good paying job. Some people are really good at saving money, you know, and whatnot, you know. Okay. So it hasn't affected it's affecting everybody, but it hasn't put them in this position. Not everybody in this position, but more and more people, you know, as the days go by, all right, are being put in this position, all right, where they just got paid and bang, the next few hours they're back to zero again, you know. Hey, there's a bunch of people in America who are in thousands, millions of dollars of debt, you know. All right, so they're experiencing this every day, basically. But hey, you know, we're in troubling times, man. You know, and imagine a famine hitting. Hey, and that's what's gonna happen, man. A famine. All right, higher prices and a famine is coming. Okay, this is Job 5:20. This is in famine. Sloppy, give me a moment. I'm gonna do a part 2, Akim. All right, Shalom.